Commissioner Jerome Abenabo.
Here.
Commissioner Brandon Arnold.
Here.
And Commissioner Claudia Bevel is here. This evening, our invocation will be delivered by Commissioner Rimley and will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would stand with us, please.
Amid the ebb and flow of ideas, let the spirit of collaboration flow freely. Imagine our thoughts as tributaries coming together to form a mighty river of innovation. Just as each drop contributes to the river's strength, so do our unique skills and perspectives meld into a force that propels us toward a shared success. Through this invocation of collaboration, let us embrace the beauty of harmonious teamwork, where the symphony of our joint efforts creates melodies that resonates far beyond these walls.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This evening, we'll start with approval of minutes from our September 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and the September 22nd Planning and Zoning Commission work session meeting minutes. Do the commissioners have any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve September 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes and September 22nd Planning and Zoning Commission work session minutes.
A second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Savoy and a second by Commissioner Obenabo to approve the minutes as presented. So we'll take a vote. Commissioner Groves.
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert.
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy.
Aye.
Commissioner Obenabo.
Aye.
Commissioner Rimley.
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bevel votes aye, so the minutes are approved by a vote of 7-0. The first item on our agenda is consideration of a special use permit for alcoholic beverage sales on premises consumption on Lot 1R2, Block 2 of the Town Center, Colleyville subdivision, located at 1205 Church Street, case ZC 25-025. The staff will present the case.
Thank you. Ben Briner, Director of Community Development. So as you stated, this is a special use permit request for alcoholic beverage sales for on-premises consumption. This is at 1205 Church Street. This is the old location of the Black Walnut Cafe. There is a new restaurant proposing to open up at this location. It is currently zoned CC2, which is our shopping center district, and it is designated as part of the Colleyville Boulevard corridor, which is where we anticipate or expect our non-residential uses to be. Here's some different perspectives of the property. So it is a standalone restaurant, and here's just a street view of the property. The new restaurant proposed is called Truva Mediterranean Bar and Grill. There was a special use permit approved for the previous business, the Black Walnut Cafe. Part of that language talks about when there is a new use, a new owner, or change in certificate of occupancy, then that previous special use permit expires. Thus, the request tonight, this is to allow for the new restaurant to be able to have alcoholic beverage sales for on-premises consumption. That language remains as letter C. So if there is an abandonment of the business, a change in the use, or termination of the existing certificate of occupancy, and a new business comes in, they would have to go through this process as well.
Okay.
We did send our notices out to surrounding property owners, did not receive any responses back for this item. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Do you have anything to add? Is the applicant here? Okay, you don't have to come forward unless you choose to, because it's a very, unless it's just, some special information that we might need. It's pretty straightforward, so thank you. Okay, so I do need to have a public hearing. I don't have any cards, but I'm going to open a public hearing, and if there's anyone present who wishes to speak on this item, you may come forward now. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. And the commissioners' discussion, do the commissioners have any comments or concerns related to this request? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I move that we approve the special use permit in case ZC 25-025.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Remley and a second by Commissioner Groves to approve case ZC 25-025. So we'll take a vote. Commissioner Groves?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy?
Aye.
Commissioner Obanabo?
Aye.
Commissioner Remley?
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold?
Aye.
And Commissioner Bevel votes aye, so that case is approved by a vote of 7-0. And we welcome you to Colleyville and wish you the best with your new endeavors. The next case is consideration of an amendment to a PUDR Planned Unit Development Residential District for lots 1-34, Block 1 of the Oak Alley subdivision located at 1312 John McCain Road, case ZC 25-026. And at this time, the staff will present the case.
Thank you. So this is a consideration of an amendment to an existing plan unit development residential district ordinance. This one's specific to the Oak Alley subdivision. So due to the nature of a plan unit development, any regulations that are established by that ordinance, when there is a proposed amendment, then we have to notify all the properties within that boundary as well as within our 500-foot notice boundary. And so it does highlight all of the lots as part of identifying the subdivision and the location. However, the requested amendment will only apply to one of the lots within this subdivision, and I'll go through that here in just a little bit. So as I stated, this is a plan unit development residential district, and it is designated for residential use on our future land use map. So this is the boundary for the entire subdivision. However, the request is specific to Lot 14, which is at 7313 Callaway Court. Here's some different perspectives of this lot, as well as an aerial photo that we can reference to if we need to. So as part of the approval of the ordinance, there was a 25-foot landscape easement that was approved along the entire eastern boundary of the subdivision, which on this exhibit would be to the bottom, towards the bottom. And so Lot 14 is the subject property, and highlighted in green is that 25-foot landscape easement. And typically what landscape easement does is it only allows for landscape material within that area, would not allow for any structures or other improvements to go into that area. So effectively similar to a buffer yard. The new homeowners are requesting to make improvements to their backyard, including a pool area. And so they are requesting removal of that 25 landscape easement on their property. They did provide their statement of planning objectives. And here's some photos that were provided as well. So this is more of a grass area that they're proposing to improve with that pool. And here's some other exhibits. This one does highlight that dash line that kind of cuts through the pool is the limits of that 25-foot landscape easement. And here's a rendering of what the pool area would look like. So the proposed amendment language, ordinance language, would be specific to Lot 14 of the Oak Alley subdivision, or 7313 Callaway Court, and that it specifically states that the 25 landscape easement would not be on that property, and only that property. Every other aspect of the existing ordinance will remain as is. We did send our notices out to all properties within the subdivision and within 500 feet outside the subdivision. We did receive 16 in favor and 10 in opposition. We have provided those letters to you. Many were in the packet information that was published, but there were quite a few that came after we published that, but we did print those out and provide those to you tonight. When we look at the opposition, we did calculate an opposition of 14%. Supermajority votes are, they require an additional voting standard at the city council level, but that is only triggered when the opposition is greater than 20% of that area and only within 200 feet of the subdivision. So they are under that supermajority vote trigger. Staff is neutral on this request, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know the applicant is here to answer questions as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Do the commissioners have questions for staff before I call the applicant up? No? Okay, if the applicant's here and you would like to present your case.
Good evening. We have a presentation we're just going to pull up if you give us a moment.
I think Control H makes it full screen.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for letting us speak. You know, we're the Rabel family, and we just moved from DC back to Texas. This is home. And we love Texas, and we love Colleyville. And the idea that we were leaving DC and we would be in a city council zoning board commission meeting 5 months after getting to the place that we call home, we want to raise our 5 boys, is a little Orwellian to us, but here we are, and we thank you for listening to us. We thought we were leaving DC to come to Texas to get away from restrictions. We love Texas. We love Colleyville. You know, I've worked as a lawyer in politics. I worked for Senator Cornyn for many years and learned, you know, what is a reasonable request and what is unreasonable opposition. And my wife here, who's much more talented than me, is the mother of our 5 young boys, and we are doing our best day by day to instill God-given values in them, to raise true Texas boys, and to hold very important principles that we hold near and dear to our hearts, that they go off and set the world on fire as men. And you know, we don't want to get into blaming or anything like that. Our request is very simple. We have right now a 25-foot landscape easement that disproportionately impacts our property in a major way. And we want to respect the public utility easement. Ben, I'm a little disappointed you're neutral, but we'll save that for another day. It has a disproportionate impact on our property due to the lot size, the shape, and the narrowness of our lot. And we'll get into some more specifics, but we simply just want to create family memories at a pool, and this is very consistent with the neighborhood. We hope to build a reasonable sized pool. We're not trying to build a duck blind to look into our neighbor's yard. We just want a simple, reasonable pool that's safe so that us parents can go to sleep having tired boys in a very controlled environment. So here's a picture of the rendering, which Daniel and Ben have been kind enough to respond to my many requests and emails. I've sent you this as well. You can see that the pool sits low in the property. It sits down. Our understanding is that this was a political concession that was made sort of in the sausage-making process at the time. I think there was probably a lot of anxiety about what was going to be built in Oak Alley, but Oak Alley is here, and the people are here, and we're young. We love Oak Alley. We love Colleyville. This is the place we are raising our children, and it was identified as such because of all the values that you will believe in. We have the same values. It's really a family-centered area for us. We think this aligns with Colleyville's development plan goals to create these kind of family-centered areas where kids can get healthy exercise And I think it's really important to highlight that, you know, the positioning, no one else in our subdivision is impacted like us. Our neighbor immediately next to us, on both sides, they have pools. They support this request. Our neighbor, as you're facing our house to the immediate right, has a 15-foot easement because I guess 10 feet were handed over to the neighbors when Oak Alley was getting built. So we really are the only house that can't have a safe family pool. We could, of course, do a little plunge pool, but if you can imagine, boys jumping from one side to the next would present severe safety risks. Here's some other photos. One of the key points I think we want to make is that, you know, there's important, and we respect the, you know, views of our neighbors, and we welcome those conversations. We've tried to talk to them. We've tried to work with them. We've tried to mitigate any concerns. Mr. Obonobo has been to our house. We've invited all you, but I understand maybe you didn't want to come see it. We just want to be reasonable. We're happy to add in landscaping, but you can see we're going to maintain that giant wall that's there, as well as the current vegetation, which is beautiful. And you can see these are 4 different pictures of our rendering. And Ben, we put a red line for emphasis and effect, but you can see that it really juts right in the middle of the pool. And this is not, you know, Hard Rock Hotel. This is a basic, safe family pool. And you know, we just want to underscore, like, we do not actually believe the drafters that were doing the sausage making process would actually want one family to not have a pool for their children. I don't believe that's the case. And this isn't the camel's nose under the tent. If you go back, and we can get to some Google Earth shots in a minute, it is the only lot that is dramatically impacted by this landscape easement, however well-intentioned, and we're not going to get into ill intentions or the like. Here's a picture of my son Vance. You know, you can see that it slopes down, and there's that very high, it's well over 6 feet. That would be preserved. It makes it effectively impossible to really use our backyard. And you know, in the Texas heat, having a pool is sort of unnecessary, and we're just asking for your support on that front. So my wife, Brooke, put this slide together. We put our house, if you can see our home there. So the 25-foot easement applies as you drive up Oak Alley. You can see that a number of the homes have much deeper lots off Oak Alley. And then you take this giant right turn as you go into Callaway Court. Okay, so the same easement that hits this house, this house, this house, his house, say nothing of over here because it doesn't apply to the other ones, but the same easement that hits these homes here also hits our house here. Now, our neighbor here, wonderful people, they have a pool. Their home is situated so it juts backwards this way, if you catch my drift. It does not go to the stone wall. The house next to us, also wonderful people, the Fricks, couldn't be better people. They have the 15-foot easement because I guess they rebuilt this 10 feet, and Ben, you may want to fact check me on this, but I believe that is a 15-foot easement. They have kind of a narrower pool, but our house is at an angle, making it even more severe for the use and enjoyment. And so this is the only home in Oak Alley, so the argument, hey, you know, if we do this, we got to do it for, I heard someone mention the fence thing, not happening. And that should not change the fact that you all exist to identify and remedy unique hardships. That is why you're here, to make a case-by-case determination. And the sausage-making process of legislation, when something isn't right, you fix it. And you keep fixing it, and you try to do it in a thoughtful way. We're not trying to hurt anyone else's property. By denying this, the only people that are hurt would be us, because we have effective remediation. Our house, if you look at the positioning of the pool here, it goes out, so our home, where the red is, it looks out into nothing. So the pool would be here. Yeah. Our driveway is up here.
Well, it looks into their driveway.
Right. Yeah, there's a long driveway here, excuse me, of the individual next, on the other side of the wall. So there's a 6-foot wall, tons of trees, and the pool would be in the backyard here. I think a very tasteful pool, looking out to the driveway and rows of trees. And, I'm not a sound expert, but 5 feet, 10 feet, it doesn't make a huge impact when you have significant sound barriers preventing any sort of children's laughing, if that's what we're here to quibble over, a child's laugh. So we think that this condition as applied was not intended to harm one family disproportionately, its use and enjoyment. We don't think that's the case. We know this was sausage making. We've talked to at least one former city council member who's been to our property. Frankly, she was aghast at the impact it had on us. Very shocked, and she was one of the main people that was negotiating this and was the original opposition. And she had a big heart, and she saw that this needs to be fixed. We kind of had, I know there's a couple, it sounds like there's more objections, although oddly, some of them are from places all over, but one of the individuals is behind us that I think a couple points to raise here. We think that our request fully aligns with the intent of Colleyville's residential zoning standards, the Colleyville plan. I think there's no question on that. I think that the 25-foot easement is not a citywide ordinance. It's not some city requirement. It was a unique decision that was made with the overall developer, when they were concerned about having tract homes in Oak Alley. The positioning of the pool is not going to create sound issues. The structure of the pool is not going to hurt the wall that's going to be maintained. We have an engineering letter to that effect. We think that while noted, I think that there's just hurt feelings about the past, about what this neighborhood going in. And so we just think that we're being very reasonable in asking for this request. We respect our neighbors who have differing views. We will continue to be good neighbors. We have other neighbors immediately next to us, like I mentioned before, that are in support of this, and obviously we need a pool to stop that. But we were able to solicit some of our neighbors in Oak Alley. I think we got about 16 or 17 folks that weighed in. A number of folks, including Mr. Jean, who's wonderful. We haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. We will. But there's obviously overwhelming support as well. You can see this is a bad attempt at a photo from me, but I'm raising my hand to kind of show you the height of the wall, which will be maintained. We got an engineering letter establishing that there's not going to have any structural impact. The noise impact, I've heard maybe a couple of those whispers. A large concrete retaining wall mitigates any sound. We're happy to put in more trees to make it look even prettier and mitigate anyone's sound concerns. We don't think that this really has any public utility anymore. In fact, we think that there's a number of reasons here, but we think it's time to, as applied, remove it for us, and we'll continue to respect the public utility easement. We think Destination Colleyville, this is very consistent with the comprehensive plan, which we're all in support of. We want Colleyville to be the best. We think it's on the path. We want to be part of that with you all. We're perhaps younger than some here. We ain't going anywhere. This is our house, this is our home, and this is where we want to raise our kids. But we are fully bought in to preserving the integrity of the neighborhoods, the charm. It's what drew us here. And the Texas values. People talk to you when you're in the grocery store. We're all bought in on this. I mean, and this isn't some, I think, unreasonable request. Again, we're not building 6-foot duck blind to look into our neighbors' yards. So this is, our family here, 5 boys. We really want to use this pool to enjoy our property, to create lasting memories. We think that this is consistent with the neighborhood standards. Without a variance, we're the only ones in our neighborhood that are impacted and can't have a pool, a safe, reasonable-sized pool. So I really thank you. I know this is a difficult decision. Whatever your decision is, we will continue to be good neighbors. We're going to continue to support Colleyville in all of its glory. We probably will keep coming back. In fact, I know we will, because this is so important to us, and we think this is consistent with what the plan overall was. I don't think that anyone would have wanted one family not to have a pool in Oak Alley. And I'm going to turn it over to my wife now.
Oh, yeah. I don't have, thank you for listening. I don't really have much to add. We just appreciate you listening. I'll probably start crying. Just had a baby. We are just very excited about this house, and I won't go into the details, but just finding this out kind of in the nth inning of everything. We had already moved here. And so we feel a little bit of, responsibility, but we also kind of looked at the situation just hoping that people would look at this objectively, see our family objectively, and if you were in our situation, kind of having bought this house in Texas and Colleyville, with your family, hoping for something reasonable as we think we are, and maintaining that 7-foot easement, we felt like we kind of moved into a situation that we didn't know the history of, quite frankly. And maybe we should have, it sounds like we should have looked at those meetings and understood what went on, and we're simply just a family who moved here, who loves it here. I specifically scouted out Colleyville myself, this house, and it's not worth crying over. In some ways it is, but we just had this vision for our family, and we hope that people can understand. And based on the research we've done, similar to Ryan's points, it doesn't seem packed sound. So then we were just trying to figure out, well, what really was the issue? Maybe it was the history there, and maybe the anger that this community came in, and then we felt like we stepped into it. And so we just hope people consider that now, like real families with real children are living there, are living here, and that's pretty much it.
That's all we got. Happy to
Okay,
answer any
thank you very
questions.
much. We'll probably call you back up at some point.
Okay, great.
We do have some speakers, so they may have questions that you would want to answer. So at this time, I'm going to open a public hearing. The public hearing is open. I have 2 speakers.
2 is a different case. 2, that's a different case.
One for 2B. Oh, okay, that's 2B. Okay, I have 1 speaker for this case, George Dodson.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Do you need my name and address?
Name and
all that?
address,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, my name's George Dodson. I live in 7309 Balmoral Drive in Colleyville.
Thank you.
I thank you for the opportunity to come tonight. Several, I don't know all of you. I served for 6 years on the city council and also served several years on P&Z, and my final time on P&Z was as chairman. I come tonight because I was heavily involved in Ocala, in the evaluation of it. So I actually come in strong opposition to this request. And for those that aren't aware, when Ocala request came in, we city manager, our city council people spent more than 2 years on this location. There were many problems regarding drainage, regarding closeness to the other people that already live there. The easement request was for many more lots, and by the way, this wasn't a political thing. There was nothing political involved in that. I don't know how the owner brought that forward. I strongly disagree with that. One thing I wanted to, well, let me go ahead and explain Ocala. Because there were so many concerns, and you see tonight many concerns to doing away with this 25-foot landscape easement. The reason it was there was because of noise along Trianon Court. We met many times. I don't know how many meetings I went to, probably over 20, 25 meetings. I'm sure there were 40 or so other meetings. So it was a very drawn-out effort. They wanted many more houses. We cut it down to the current amount. One thing I'm very concerned that accepting this and accepting this request will open up the opportunity for other requests. But one thing I heard tonight is that the neighbor to this already has an easement off of the 25-foot. Are you aware of that, Ben?
I don't know which easement you're referring to.
The house to the south of this house. Do you have a?
So the
have a-
25-foot easement was consistent along the entire boundary, but there was a portion that was deeded over to the adjacent subdivision.
What does that mean?
The land was actually taken from Oak Alley and given to the Tanglewood subdivision.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the
So that's why it's a
backside.
different dimension.
But it's still,
But the
It's still the
25-foot
same-
was
it's
from that
still
same
the
boundary.
same
But is
25.
the house to the south of that? They implied that they have a pool that's in the 25-foot area.
No, they are at the limit of that same easement, but it's only measuring 15 feet because that furthest east 10 feet was deeded over to the Tanglewood subdivision.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, what I'm concerned about is that if this is approved, we're probably going to see a bunch more people come forward and request the same easement. It appears to me that I know they want this shape that they've come up with, but it appears to me that there's a fair amount of area that's outside the 25-foot area that they could go to the south of where they're proposing this and still have a fair-sized pool. So I'm very much against this. You saw that there are 10 properties that are against this. And, I'm sure when they bought their house, they knew that this this line was there. It's clearly marked on all of the documents. I think, just because they have 5 children, to me, isn't a reason, okay, I'm out of time. But
You can finish. If you need another minute, you can finish.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that 2 other council members, the mayor, then Mayor Newton, and Mayor Pro Tem Wheat, both agree with me that this easement should not be eliminated. I don't know who he talked to, but I know that the development was approved 100% by the then council members. So I thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Dodson.
Bye now.
Okay, I don't have any more cards on this. If there's someone else present that would like to speak, you may come forward at this time. And sir, if you haven't already filled out a card, when you're through speaking, if you would fill one of those cards out at the back and then give it to the gentleman over here.
Sure. Yeah,
To
be
your
happy
right,
to.
my left.
Be happy to. My name is Mark Gottfredson, 7321 Trianon Court. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association for the Tanglewood subdivision. One thing that I will note, you mentioned the 10 that have sent in letters. There are 12 lots in the Tanglewood subdivision. All 12 are opposed to this. And if they need to send in letters, we can get everybody to send in a letter. That's not an issue. Just a little bit of history on this. Mr. Dodson, I think, laid it out relatively well. There was a lot of discussion when that 25-foot easement was approved. Why? Why was there a request for that? Why did we work with Burke Collins in setting that up? Well, one of the unique natures of our subdivision is that it runs right, the boundary runs right along that wall, and the road most of the way runs right along that wall as well. So what basically the plot plan put the backyards facing the front yards in Trianon Court. And so the idea was, that's not normal. If you did sort of normal plans, you don't have backyards facing front yards. But in this case, we do. And so there was a lot of concern about noise, about privacy. And so that easement also is designed to have trees put in there so that we're not just looking into everybody's backyard when they're swimming and so on and so forth. We worried about noise, and in fact, noise is an issue in the subdivision. There's many times that I and others have been walking down our road, and there are parties going on in the backyards of homes in Oak Alley, and music's blaring out of those pools. We can see the partiers there, in spite of the fact that that wall is, relatively high, and we're down. Most of those houses have been built up in such a way that you can actually see right over that wall. And so it's a very difficult thing. There was some emotion at the time. Let's admit it. People didn't really like the plan. And Burke Collins was required by the Planning and Zoning Commission to change his plan significantly and to put in to put that easement in. I have some empathy for the homeowner here, but there is a little bit of due diligence that needs to be done when you buy a property. The title insurance that they would have read certainly would have highlighted that the easement was there. If they had done any due diligence and looked at the plat, they would have seen the easement. And if that doesn't work for them, buy another house. That's really the position that we would take, is that it was there, it's stated there. It's very important to the people in our homeowners association. We fought hard for that, and we really do worry that if one exception is given, that there'll be other exceptions brought forward, and it'll be very hard at that point, based on setting some kind of precedent for you all to deny that. So that's really our feeling, and I'll leave it at that. We have one other homeowner that is the neighbor right across the wall there, who I think would also like to say a few words, Barbara Bradshaw.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry I didn't fill out a card. I really didn't intend on speaking. but, because you do have my letter there. I am the homeowner that, this
Can you state
property.
your name?
Barbara Bradshaw.
Okay.
7316 Trinon Court.
Thank you.
And I'm the homeowner that's directly impacted. And I'm also one of the 12 homeowners in the neighborhood.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bradshaw, can you speak into the mic just for
Oh,
recording
okay.
purposes?
Yes.
Thank you.
But if you'll look at my property and how it is affected, it's been affected not just by Lot 14, but by the other homeowner so I'm affected by 2 of the Oak Alley homes. And whereas there is a buffer zone for a large number of our homes, in my case, the wall is all there is. There isn't another 15 feet deeded or 25 feet deeded or the street, as a buffer. My home directly is impacted. And so that's my big concern. I have a lot of empathy for those little 5 boys. I want them to have a pool. I really do. I'm not against that at all. I'm so grateful to have neighbors now and not construction, which we've had for probably 3 years. I have 11 grandchildren, so I've got a lot of empathy for that, for activity levels, et cetera. But Mark mentioned noise being an issue, and it is an issue. I mean, I can hear hear whole conversations. And as it is now, with the boys, they love to play ball, so I get balls in my driveway on a regular basis, and hockey pucks, which is all fine. That's okay. But if now we're talking about putting in a pool and that's added to it, I do have some concern. I do have a part of my house that is close. It's an attached casita that's used. So it's not just my garages that are impacted or my driveway. It is our actual living space. And I had one other thing. Yes, here's what I wanted to say. 25 feet is a long way to me, but now I'm being asked to bring that down to a 10-foot buffer. That's quite a bit of difference. So I would hope that there was a way that the pool can go in just within the 25-foot buffer. And I think that's reasonable. And surely the builder who built this home knew. Most of the homes that have gone in have pools that go in at the same time as they move in. And so the builder had to know what the limitations were on putting a pool there. So, I don't know. That's what I have to say. Questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Bradshaw, very much.
Thanks.
Okay, I don't have any other cards, but is there anyone else that would like to speak on this? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. The public hearing is closed. Sir, would you like to come back and respond to the comments that were made?
Sure, and we respect their opinions. I'll start with the last point, the casita point. Ben, if you could pull up the Google Earth view of our presentation.
You can control it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is Mrs. Bradshaw's house here, right here. The pool would be here. And that is well over 40 feet away from any structure. In fact, there's houses across, there's houses nearby. It's unclear how our noise is any different than their neighbor's noise. Secondly, our driveway is here, and the noise, the nuisance referenced by a couple of the individuals here, those are children laughing and playing ball. Whether a pool's there or not, I hope my boys will be on their bikes laughing, playing hockey, being respectful of their neighbors. Of course, we're very sorry we continually hit balls over in your yard. We're gonna try to work on that. Maybe they need to work on their shots. But this is laughter of children. I find it telling that the first individual who spoke that's apparently crafted the deal was unaware that 10 feet was deeded over to the other subdivision. And that's a dramatic effect on us because, again, we are the only house that's singled out. I think that the larger point here is there was not the house on this lot, there weren't plans for this lot when it was getting constructed. And so this was done with, good intentions, but it now has a dramatic and severe impact. And on the noise front, we've done our research, but that giant wall and the vegetation is going to have negligible impact, if at all, on children's laughter spilling, God forbid, spilling over the wall. We aren't the partiers. In fact, we are very lame. We go to bed at 9 p.m. because we have so many kids and we have to start our day very, very early. And we certainly hope if there are issues with our noise that we do what we should do as neighbors and we talk. And we explain what the issues are. And I don't want to make this a larger thing in a public hearing, but I think that we respect what, our neighbors have said. But I think in the end, this is a very simple decision that there is a unique hardship. It's not going to impact anyone else. You're not going to get more requests. Everybody else has a pool. And if everyone comes in like they did with the fence deal, I think you mentioned the other day, the answer is this is a unique hardship for one family. So I think that is a straw man argument. I don't think it has any bearing here. And if you do get requests, the answer is very simple, and it is this home and everybody in Ocala on this wall has effectively agreed that we have a unique hardship. So whether you grant this one, you are not going to get inundated with numerous other applications. So I think that's a flimsy argument at best. Ultimately, I think that you all have an opportunity to right the wrong here, and the wrong is preventing children from having a family pool. We can talk about legalese and the like, but in the end, that's the decision. And we will respect the decision. We will keep pushing. If and when we get this pool, we'll still invite Mark over to have a beer if he wants, and the gentleman with the cowboy hat. But this is very simple, we think. It's a targeted surgical response to something that we think was very unintended as it relates to our family. And happy to answer any other questions on that front.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have questions for the applicant at this time?
Yes, I have a few. Oh, go ahead.
No, is there any other place on your property that your designer has looked at putting that pool?
There's no other place. There's an
Well,
oak.
there is a response to that. So there was like a small pool that we found out after the fact was designed by the same pool company that now has a new pool. The feedback that we got almost unanimously from people is that it wasn't even a standard size pool. So it really does prohibit us from building a standard size pool to the point where the pool would be pushed up onto our porch and even still wouldn't be even a standard size pool. So then it begs the question, could you put the pool on the back side around the house, I don't think so.
Well, you'd have to cut down a number of oak trees if you want to do that, which we love those oak trees. I don't think, because the easement still goes 25 feet in our house, if you recall, is angled, so that really is the best place for it. With regards to that pool, you know, it's like here to here is narrowness, and my kids would be jumping from one side to the next. So the concern is if we push it up against our house, that obviously presents safety risks, foundational risks. Based on the engineering, this is really the best place for it from the engineer. But I really don't think to have a modest, safe pool for our kids, I don't see any other way to build this.
And like I said, we did research like the science behind sound, and we can get someone out to run a sound report that could, you know, shed light on, does 10 linear feet make a substantial impact noise-wise on Barbara's property? And what we had researched is that as long as you have a retaining wall, and then the landscaping helps, but even it just said the retaining wall. So even if you have the retaining wall, that is the thing that mitigates the sound. From our research, we know it's not ideal, but I think the main point we came back to is that if this truly isn't causing, you know, there's opinion, and then there's actual kind of fact, like what are the facts? And I think that's where zoning ordinance comes into play. And that's what we were looking at. From an objective party coming here, not knowing the history, what does kind of the science say? Like, what does the zoning principality say? We had also asked Ben if there were any other communities that have the same 25-foot easement restrictions, just to understand that, is this a precedent across Colleyville? And if, you know, it was, we were ready to look at those cases. But if it's a kind of single targeted property, that's why we're here today, to come up and kind of plead our case and hope that we can get back to not necessarily almost like a opinion about it when it comes to one property, but, you know, kind of go back to those facts.
Okay, so along with Commissioner Savoy, when you had your pool designed, was your engineer aware of this easement?
Yes, the engineer was. So in fact, let me just tell you what our experience was. We move into the home, you know, we love the home.
Did you see all the plans and
We got
the
a survey,
paperwork
we
and
got a
the-
survey mid-March. She was pregnant.
We were not
We were
provided,
not.
in our opinion, all the applicable documents that maybe would have shed light on this.
We got a survey mid-March, and, you know, we probably missed it.
And we
Frankly,
had already
So
you
sold our
would've-
house.
We had sold our house.
Moved across
We
the
had moved to
country. I
Texas.
was pregnant.
Brooke was pregnant with our 5th kid. There's a lot going on. We're selling our furniture. We're selling a home
And
in
we bought the
Virginia.
house without
We
the
got it. We
pool.
did get a survey.
And we just assumed coming from Virginia, we saw people build pools one next to the other.
Okay.
Not that assumption breeds, you know, the rule of thumb. Coming here, we thought we were getting, you know, 0.7 acres, and it was great. This is more space. And like I said, I found the house. I feel truly responsible. We poured a lot of, it was a final kind of, this is the home we're gonna be in, and not that should, you know,
Okay.
warrant us a pool. And then we go to get the documents, which we go to start the pool process a few months after we closed on the house. We're in it. Texas is hot. We want a pool. We go to the pool company, and the first
They
thing
flagged
kind of
it.
she immediately brought up was, oh, we have to work within the 25-foot easement. And I first was like, oh, an easement, okay. And then she kind of had a stern kind of, yes, we have to work within the 25-foot easement. And so I took a tape measure out and I thought, okay, it's a 25-foot easement. Like, how bad? We bought this house in Texas. Like, how bad could it be? I start measuring and pulling it out, and all of a sudden I'm almost more than halfway into our yard. And I about just was sick to my stomach, obviously, because we were in the house now with our family, and I call him, and I couldn't, to be honest, I couldn't believe it.
Okay, okay.
I just
So,
thought,
so you found out kind of after the
We
fact?
found out after.
That was my
We
question.
were not blaming anyone at all.
no.
There's no blaming here.
We don't
We
wanna
had
get
a lot
legal
going
issues.
on. We did get the survey mid-March,
2 weeks before we
2 weeks
closed.
before,
Yeah.
and I looked at my email and it is in there. And that's just something for the record y'all need to know. So just to be candid, we didn't have a broker on our side because we were trying to get a better deal on the house. Pregnant with our 5th kid, selling our home, and
Saw the lot and just.
and we sell a
quite
lot, and we
frankly,
saw Colleyville and
assumed-
fell in love. And we,
And we didn't think we could build, but
Okay.
yeah.
First of all, we're glad you came to Colleyville, and we're glad that you appreciate all the amenities that Colleyville delivers for the people who live here. We love it, too. The children's laughter is music to my ears. I wish we had more children in our neighborhood because I love the sound of it. I have grandchildren, so I do have that pleasure. So I would never consider the noise that children make while playing outside, that is not a nuisance. It's not considered a nuisance, I don't think, in our nuisance ordinance where the noises are like loudspeakers and things like that. I don't think children's laughter has any part in that. I do recall, sir, in your letter, you admitted the easement was established deliberately for an important purpose, and that is true. And it was under consideration for many months in developing this whole subdivision. This is probably one of the most carefully planned subdivisions that Colleyville has ever allowed. And it's because the homeowners in the area were so diligent about protecting their properties as well. So I understand that you consider this a hardship. It was never intended to impact anyone in a negative way. In purchasing the property and realizing the configuration that you had there with the house, I'm wondering, have you asked your engineer to try to configure something that would be compliant, and then you wouldn't even have to talk to us?
Well, there was that original plan that Brooke mentioned, but it effectively, it's like very narrow and it's right up against our house. And, well, that was the original pool drawing that we had.
So there was a configuration.
There was a configuration.
That was compliant.
That was compliant, yeah, it tracks, so it's like basically on our house, and it's very narrow, and so as a father, my first thought is.
Well, and I got subjective feedback from like an outside pool of people as to whether it was.
The dangers of it.
And the unanimous feedback was the pool is far too narrow.
And our boys will jump from one side to the next.
Who knows what they'll do.
And, I mean, that's just, it's a danger, like, I look at,
Okay, I'm not suggesting that you
Yeah.
do anything dangerous. I'm just
No, I know, I'm
wondering-
just telling you what we did,
You-
and I'm saying that we find it's right up against our house.
Do you anticipate that there could be some other configuration that would be compliant?
I don't think with a 25-foot easement, I think this is a all or nothing, it's either we get a pool or we don't,
I also
because.
think it's a safety issue if you wrap.
What about-
I don't even know if you wrap the pool around the side of the house, just with young children, that would mean that, I don't even know if it's possible, one, and then I don't know if it, as a parent, you would want your pool on the side of your home. I don't know that we would do that. So
Well,
then it's
I'm
a
just-
matter of small pool on the side of the house. And again, I think we just hope that we had respected that the 7-foot utility easement. And also, I think to point out, Barbara's house does sit way far down as well. So you're not just talking about the feet that go to that wall. It's a significant drop that goes down that we don't.
I think the casita also as well over here, like, this is the nearest structure, but ours would be way over this way.
I think
And
there's a roundabout.
And I've looked over, and today I actually
pool
looked over
would
my
be.
fence just to make sure we weren't hitting it, because I saw her letter, and just to make sure, and it's just like, there's nothing there other than some trees, and then there's the driveway. So the sound would obviously reverberate off the wall, off all the trees, and then just kind of keep going out across there. So it's just, again, this is children's laughter, it's not.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not concerned, personally, I'm not concerned about the sound.
I guess it's like, maybe, what would this be, 10 feet here-ish, is all we're asking really, to kind of push the pool slightly off the house and have it be like a width that is normal.
Well, I would love for you to have a pool, and I understand you're wanting the pool for your children, and, yes, it's hot in Texas, as you said, and family bonding and playtime and all that is definitely important to a young family like yours. I was just trying to see if we could bring it into compliance some way so you wouldn't have to.
So if you see Vance here, Commissioner, that's where the pool would start. This is where it starts. This is where it could effectively start if you respect the easement. So it will be so close that it presents foundational risks, and it'd be so narrow, because it has to go, work within that. And so I just think and there's oak trees here in the yard. There's I think one or two. So I don't think it's really possible. So that's why we think this is really, remove this easement.
It's a beautiful design. Can it be made smaller?
I mean, I don't know how you make this smaller. You can, if it's a reasonable request to push it back a foot or 2 feet, then fine. But again, we want to maintain the safety of our children, and making a pool that you can jump around from one side to the other, a plunge pool, is, I think, just not really
Right,
practical.
right. Well, and pushing it back a couple of feet isn't going to help, because it's still going to be a huge amount into the easement.
Exactly. So you'd essentially have
So
to
that wouldn't
design-
accomplish anything. Okay,
Pushing that thing all the way to the south is a bigger area. You just have trees in that area, is that correct?
We have trees, and I'm not sure, well, it's the same thing, right? I don't know if this has,
And then you have an open lot to
yeah,
the
we have
south
our
behind
house
the
still.
house.
We have our house still. Yeah, there's a house there too, so.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying where you're at on where it's at, if you take that design, you moved it south and reoriented it in that lot, would it fit in those areas?
I mean, if we got rid
I-
of maybe all the bushes, but then again, is it a
It'd still be on the
safety
house.
issue
I don't know
of-
the answer to that, and I don't think it's, kind of thinking through my lot. First off, I'm not sure this represents exactly where our house is, because again, it's at an angle. So I don't know for sure. I know we would have to cut down at least 2 trees. We probably have to take out all the shrubs closest to our house, and then it'd still be close to our house. And I don't know the restriction as it relates to our neighbor immediately next to us. So I don't know the answer to that question. I think a key point here is, is sightline. We have 5 children, and one thing that we love about our street is that we can look out and see kids. And that is just a safety thing. It's when you have blind spots as a mother, as a father, that's something that you really worry about. I'm sure you're aware of that. And so the ability to even just set aside everything else, the ability to just look outside and see kids while you're making dinner or doing whatever, going through life, is significantly a sense of relief as a parent. So I don't know all the answers to your questions. My best guess is it would be the same issues. We run into the same issues, and we'd have to cut down a number of trees to do that, if at all.
Now, you didn't design this house. It was a spec house that you then bought?
We did, and we love the house.
Okay, and it's about a 30,000 square foot lot, I understand. Is that about right?
I think your math is better than mine. It's about point
I've seen that
.68, you know,
Just a
point
little over
68, yeah,
30,000.
acre, yeah.
It's a big, it may not seem like a big deal to depart from the landscape easement, but, I mean, I think it's pretty clear to me that the development never would have been approved without it. And isn't the real issue here not the lot, but the size of the house that the builder put on the lot? That really precluded a pool from being built that would be outside of the easement? Isn't that what the real problem is here?
Respectfully, no. The house isn't like different. One of the things in the PUD is that it requires, one of the concerns, as I understand it, was the size of the home, and they wanted bigger homes, not smaller homes, like the tract homes and the like. So this home was actually, is smaller than some, but medium size compared to our neighbors in Oak Alley. So I think that was important as well. So that's point one. You know, point two is there's, you know, it is really about the lot because of the layout and the narrowness of the lot. And again, I go back to, I don't think that if everybody was in a room and you said, look, this is an important 25-foot landscape easement, except for one family will never have a pool, a safe pool, you know, set aside Jerry's point, but for the sake of argument, one family not have a pool. I don't think any well-intentioned person on planet Earth, particularly in the city of Colleyville, would say, yeah, let's do it to them. I really don't, and I think that it's still consistent with the PUD, because I've read the PUD, and it's to have, you know, nice homes that are bigger, that have bigger lots, and none of that changes.
I think the focus was on bigger lots, not necessarily a 6,500 or whatever square foot lot versus, or house versus, let's say, a 4,500 square foot house.
And it's
we
not
don't know,
just
'cause
about
we
Oak
weren't
Valley.
here.
It's about the overall community. In other words, when Oak Alley, when all the plans were being made for Oak Alley, everything and all the standards within Colleyville, the Land Development Code, so on and so forth, and the neighbors who took time out of their lives to come down and voice their needs and their preferences and what have you. When it was all said and done, it was done with so much sincere effort. Not just from, it's not about one house, it's not about one lot, it's not about one neighborhood, it's the overall community. And there was a lot of, many hours and many efforts put into it, as these people here have talked about. And I'm sure you know that, because it was several years in the making. So it's not like a specific situation just kind of happened. I think that's what you're kind of alluding to, like this just kind of happened and nobody realized that you couldn't have a pool, and they wouldn't have done it if they had realized that. You have to look at the big picture. You can't just take one little piece of it. So I just want to emphasize, from my perspective, the importance of what went into it and the importance of the time and effort that collectively, not just the commission, but the city council and all of the citizens put into it as well.
Yeah, we
Those are
support
things-
that. We
those are-
understand that.
Those are things that we feel responsible for as a commission. So, did you have something, David?
Yeah. I'll first echo what Commissioner Remley said. It's never been about larger home. It's been about larger lots and more open spaces. So I think that should be clear on the record. And I don't think it was ever political. I did have the opportunity to speak to Mr. Dotson, and I also spoke to former Mayor Newton, who served the city for about 30 years. That's why the fire station's named after him. He served on council. He served as mayor. So he has, of any one citizen in this town, probably has the most corporate knowledge, having been in the city leadership about the planning and zoning And when I spoke to him, he said that this was one of the most intense and time-consuming negotiations to get Oak Alley through. And like Commissioner Bevel said, that, you know, if we grant this request, everybody else that's subject to some sanction or restriction on a PUD is going to come back and say, we gave 7313 Callaway their exception, I want mine. It's not hurting anybody else. And what you're asking us to do in a way is give you what you want to the detriment of at least 10, if not all 12 people in Trinon Court who had severe reservations and concessions were made, and that was part of the giving and taking of that land to create that 25-foot barrier. I feel bad, you know, we've all lived the pressures of moving, relocating, and new children but usually those easements are marked with pretty bold lines on surveys that I'm surprised that it wouldn't pop out to you with everything that's going on. I do think there are alternative designs that's a large pool. I have a pool that size. I have a very large backyard and I have grandchildren that swim in it also. That pool could be made smaller. You could lose some of the features. I mean, features are nice, don't get me wrong. But you can do some things to make that pool a little bit smaller and slide it to the south, and you wouldn't be standing here in front of us tonight. Most of the people that are on this commission are fairly long-time Colleyville residents. We want to do right by you, but we want to do right by every other citizen and resident in this town. That's what, from what you're saying in your introduction, is the reason you moved here, because we do things right, not just for you, but for all the citizens. So I appreciate your situation, but I certainly think that redesigning it could give you a pool that your boys will enjoy. I think 20 years from now, when they're all grown and on their own, they go, we had a small pool, but we still had a lot of fun. If that's what you're trying to build, the size of the pool is not going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think an important point on your point, thank you, Mr. Gross, for that, is it's not just 12 people opposing. There's 16 people that are in support of this too. And I think that's an important point. 16 people and more will grow. And I think that those 16 people's voices also should be heard and recognized.
None of them are impacted. None of your 16 neighbors are impacted that versus the 10 of the 12 in Triton Court are.
The two neighbors to our right and left, Mr. Holtman wrote a letter saying that we are the ones that are the most impacted by this because we live right next door. So they are impacted as well. But the same complaints that some of the other folks have, they don't have. The noise doesn't bother them or whatever.
I wouldn't be bothered by children's noise either.
Well, okay.
I think what we're asking is what now could possibly be the right thing to do. I mean, I think that I guess we come from a place of coming from Fairfax County, to be honest, and people building pools in their yards. We go to Fort Worth, and we've got some friends down there who literally build the pools, you know, to the lot line, and not that creates any sort of. We feel we're being reasonable. We feel that, you know, having a pool, to be honest, a pool that we want, given the information after the fact, we personally don't feel that it's going to create the havoc that street seems to have created. And I know that they mentioned there's parties going on. We certainly don't hear them, and I think we would 100% have a problem with that, as we did in our last home. But I think a 7-foot easement, I think if you, and I also don't believe that giving one person a circumstantial special permit then creates, I think that's, you know, an assumption that it would create a catapult effect to other lots. And I think that, you know, there's always room to look at a situation and say that, you know, that this works, and that 7 feet from a wall down is a reasonable thing for a family to have. If you, I personally do. I think if you all came out to the house and walked the line personally, as, you know, we had a former city council member who thought it was 15.
Who was that council member?
Callie.
She came out, she thought it was 15, we stood on 15, and we all said, okay, we could maybe make this work, and I texted him, and he said, it is 25. We walked together more than halfway into our lot, so I'm just asking you, if you come to the state of Texas, and you think about, I don't know, property rights, and then you, I don't know, I guess we were shocked, and yes, for that, you can't even maybe believe how much I'm kicking myself, because this was our dream house, and we put everything into it. So we don't believe that this is so impactful as it seems that what it's being made to be.
I want to say, I know it's hard for you to believe that granting this kind of variance would have a domino effect or set a precedent. But I've served on this commission for several years, and most of the guys here have, and it does set a precedent. And we've seen it over and over again with fences. You know, I want to put my fence here, well, that's not where the fence goes. You can only put your fence here. No, I want to put my fence here. And so when you start granting variances, even one, then what if your neighbors who have a larger lot decide they want to put in a pickleball court and they want to use that easement? What if they do? I mean,
Then
for
I
their
think they have
family's
to-
enjoyment and their family's pleasure, and we let this other family remove the easement from their property. So now we need to remove this easement so we can have a pickleball court. See, it does happen, that's all I'm saying.
And what I'm saying is that this exists, this zoning commission exists to look at current conditions as applied. And that's what this zoning commission does. It makes exceptions where it makes sense. It doesn't just honor any and every deal that was struck in the past, particularly when it has a huge impact on the use and enjoyment of a family, and it has public support from at least 16 other families. So, you know, we do think, like, if you could, it's not just honoring old deals. Like, again, the spirit of the deal is honored. The easement is still there for all the other lots. We are the only home based on the layout that really needs it to have a safe pool. And so, yes, we do think the decision that you are making today is whether or not you want 5 children to have a pool that is safe. That's how we view it. And we are asking for your compassion. And we understand there's objections from folks, but in the end, we believe that just when you dig deep and look at your heart, this is the right thing to do.
If we grant this and we have another development proposal of similar size to this, and there's a lot that I'm familiar with in Colleyville that could be, it's 50 acres. The neighbors say that we will support it provided we have a buffer of 25 feet. If we grant this, what do we say to them in terms of how reliable our representation is that we'll put it in how meaningful is our putting it in the ordinance if we grant exceptions like this?
You grant exceptions all the time. It is meaningful.
I would
And
say.
we did ask Ben for,
There was a couple other.
I would say the exceptions that this commission has granted, I've been on the commission coming up on 5 years, along with Commissioner Bevel. I would say that the history of this committee granting exceptions is to those situations where the condition presently exists, but the land development code has done some taking or made that portion of the land development code more restrictive, and this commission, without a doubt, has unanimously agreed to allow exceptions where we're not taking something away from a party that has something. Typically, that comes up with special use permits for fences or existing swimming pools or existing structures. But on new construction and on new properties and new developments, this commission, as well as I believe our city council, holds the line to the land development code. And there were agreements made. I don't think they're part of the ordinance. I don't know, one of the other commissioners may be able to speak to it, that there were promises made that this is what we're going to do for the whole thing. And I will tell you, after 5 years, people will come back and want to revisit situations that we've said no to for the same reason. If we allow this, we have to allow it everywhere. And then we have no zoning. And to me, that's the reason people choose Colleyville, because we're consistent and we're fair to everyone.
We think this is fair to everyone. It doesn't have, the only people that are, you said 10 to 12 people are impacted. They're impacted theoretically because they just don't want it to happen.
But
They're not actually impacted.
it's like if we looked at the facts of it, like we're asking everyone here to do, the facts of like, if you actually considered zoning and the ability to have a pool here, you can have one, and you can. And it's safe, it's on our property, it's on our property.
The
Okay.
12 people that
I
are
think-
impacted
It's
just
on-
have a
it's like
theoretical
we're in-
objection. It doesn't affect the noise. It doesn't affect their sight line.
What state are we in?
Yeah. In the end, they just don't want it because they just don't want it. And so then
Exactly.
the
That's our
question to you
point.
is like, how are they actually impacted? We are the ones that are actually severely impacted because we can't have a family pool.
There's
They are
20.
theoretically impacted because at some point, they
They just
crafted a
didn't
deed,
want
they
it.
just didn't want it. They didn't want Oak Valley to exist.
And so in
But-
some ways, it was a concession rather than a
So-
zoning requirement. And so we're asking you, if there's a zoning requirement that prohibits this pool from going in, we would love to hear it. But based on our research, there's nothing we can find that is outside of Colleyville in this particular neighborhood shows that this shouldn't happen. It all points to this is actually able to happen with the exception of this agreement that happened years before we came, and we just think that you can make it right on one particular house, given that it can be there.
Okay, I appreciate all of your argument, and I think we've heard your rebuttal to any of the thoughts that we've expressed. So,
Can I
do the
just add
commissioners,
one
yes, if
thing?
the
It's
commissioners have any other questions, we need to address those.
Just one thing is, 3 years ago, a plot of land virtually next door to us, 50 acres, they wanted to put a development there called Greystone Manor. Ultimately, I supported it, but it went down, couldn't get a supermajority. And the first thing our homeowners association asked for was a buffer. Now, I can't remember the depth of the buffer, but that was the first thing we asked for. I just wanted to throw that in there. It happens elsewhere. I can't remember on the Bluffs, that was another controversial one, whether or not there was a buffer involved. Do you remember that, Ben?
There is.
There was?
There he is, he
Yes.
says.
So it's commonplace, unfortunately. Fortunately, unfortunately, but it's commonplace.
Okay, well, are there other questions for the applicant? If not, then we appreciate your time and your comments and all your effort, and you may be seated. Okay, at this time, is there a discussion amongst the commissioners for this
Madam-
case? Yes, Commissioner Obanabo.
Yeah, may I ask the homeowner association president to come forward?
Ask the homeowner? or
Association.
The association?
President, yes.
Yes.
Godfrey.
I'm going to open the public hearing again.
Thank
The
you.
public hearing is open.
Sorry about that. First of all, I wanted to thank you for being here. I had, a couple of questions, and many of them were answered today. I understand how this came about. I'm beginning to understand it, but I'm trying to get a clarification here in terms of why the pool should not be there, right? Okay. You had indicated that correct me if I'm wrong here, you said it has to do with privacy and noise.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. And just make a couple of comments. Young kids, we all like the sound of young kids. They don't stay young. They become teenagers. And when they become teenagers, they have parties in the backyard in their pool. And then it becomes a kind of noise that you don't want. And that happens more quickly than you would think. I have 5 children. I have 12 grandchildren. My 5 children grew up in our yard and are adults now and have their own children. So I understand that. Do I believe that, based on what I've seen on the lot, I'm looking at these pictures right here, and I look to the south, do I believe that something could be configured so that they could have a pool? I do believe that they could. I'm not saying they shouldn't have a pool. I think they can configure and be compliant, and they can continue to have that. But I think that it would be a very dangerous precedent to make an exception here when it's most likely possible that you could configure something. And by the way, on the question of sightlines, we have a pool. We've had little kids in our pool. And I just have to tell you that if you are a responsible parent, you don't watch sightlines from the kitchen. You're out there with the kids because a child can drown very, very quickly in a pool. That's not the consideration. They should have a pool. They should be able to configure it in their yard. They should have a fence around it that makes it safe for little kids. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And one final comment I would just like to put out. Whether they have the pool or do not have the pool, of course, we are in agreement that boys will be boys, kids will be kids, right? They're going to still be making the noise, the same amount of noise, whether the pool is there or not there. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Absolutely. But I do think the noise does change when kids get older. They hold a party out at the pool and they turn on the music and so on and so forth. And that's quite a bit more annoying than kids splashing in a pool.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else? Public hearing is closed. Is there further discussion from the commission? Commissioner Savoy?
I just have a question for Ben. On the plot plan that they have, is there another space that gives them the dimensions that they could actually put a pool in there? Would not encroach on the 25-foot setback?
So I was looking at it, possibly in those areas further to the south and maybe to the side. It's probably not going to be the same design as what you saw in the other exhibits, but it looks like potentially there could be space there. It may not be quite as wide. They might have to reposition some of the entry areas, but it will potentially remove trees, I think, in either location, to further south or to the side of the house. It'll remove trees that are there.
And how linear will that make that pool be? Is there an ordinance that there has to be specific dimensions around that pool?
I don't think so. It's just meeting building codes, so a lot of it's just going to be the way it's constructed.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? If not, I will ask for a motion.
I move that case number ZC 25-026 be denied.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Remley and a second by Commissioner Groves to deny case ZC 25-026. And so we'll take a vote. This is to deny. Commissioner Groves?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy?
Nay.
Commissioner Obanabo?
Nay.
Commissioner Remley?
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold?
Aye.
Commissioner Bevel votes aye, and the case is denied by a vote of 5-2. The next case for consideration is consideration of a special use permit for an accessory dwelling on Lot 4 of Miss Eva Paul subdivision located at 1005 Tinker Road, case ZC 25-027. At this time, the staff will present the case.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is a consideration of an SUP for an ADU accessory dwelling unit on 1005 Tinker Road. The property is zoned R40. Within the R40 zoning district, an accessory dwelling unit is allowed via approval of an SUP. The proposed SUP complies with the future land use plan. Here are the existing conditions on site. No visible changes to the property would be made should this case be approved. Here's a street view. The applicant is requesting that a portion of the existing accessory building in their backyard be converted into an accessory dwelling unit. The building was permitted according to the Land Development Code in 2018. It is around a 1,200 square foot structure, 12 feet in height, that matches the facade of the primary residence. The accessory dwelling component within that existing building would be around 375 square feet. The proposed change will take place internally to the existing building. And here are some of the existing elevations that are out there today. The proposal meets all land development requirements within section 3.27 for accessory buildings. The applicant is seeking approval of an SUP as allowed in section 3.27A, 5, and 6. There has been no opposition received by staff, and staff recommends approval of this case. We're happy to address any questions.
Are there questions for staff? Okay. Is the applicant here?
They noted to me that they would not be here tonight.
Okay, the applicant is not here, so I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. I have no cards. If anyone wishes to speak, you may come now. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. This is pretty straightforward. Are there any questions from the commissioners? And if not, then we'll ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve case ZC 25-027.
A second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Savoy and a second by Commissioner Obanabo to approve case ZC 25-027. We'll take a vote. Commissioner Groves?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy?
Aye.
Commissioner Obanabo?
Aye.
Commissioner Remley?
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold?
Aye.
Commissioner Bevel votes aye, and the case is approved by a vote of 7-0. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a special use permit for an electric vehicle charging station on Lot 1R, Block 1 of the Kroger Edition located at 4904 Colleyville Boulevard, case ZC 25-028. The staff will present the case.
Commissioners, this is a consideration for an SUP of some EV chargers at 4904 Colleyville Boulevard. The property is located at the northeast corner of Highway 26 and Glade Road. The property is zoned CC2 Shopping Center District, with adjacent zoning districts being CC1 and residential. The proposed SUP does comply with the future land use plan. The case resides at the existing Walmart Neighborhood Market location. Here are some existing conditions within their parking lot. The proposal does not impact the structures on site, only changes within the parking areas. As presented on the screen, the applicant is proposing 8 parking spaces to be designated for EV charging only, 4 charging units and associated equipment to serve those chargers. The development does have sufficient parking to sustain the current uses. Here's the proposed chargers and signage. The signs will not exceed 3 square feet and are not visible from any city right-of-way. Per discussions with the applicant, no trees will be removed or harmed should this be approved. The applicant is also revitalizing the affected landscape islands as well as the landscape islands to the north of the scope of work. Staff has not received any opposition to this request and does recommend approval of this request as it meets section 3.24C of the Land Development Code, which governs EV chargers. happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions for the staff from the commission? Okay, seeing none, then I'll ask, is the applicant here? Would you like to come forward and? You don't need to if you don't have anything to say, but we might have some questions for you, so. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Eric John with Kimley Horn, 1600 North Central Expressway, Richardson, Texas.
Hi, I'm Mina Zaki, the store manager of this Walmart neighborhood market. How are
Hi,
you?
Mina. He's the best Walmart manager in the whole state of Texas.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Okay, so I do have a question about overnight charging. Can you elaborate on that?
So it will be available for 24 hours through Walmart working hours. There will be a payment app that will be available, and the only payment option will be through the app. We purposely chose the option as is, based on the current lighting exposure of, as you'll see that there's a light pole to the north, immediately north, and then immediately south of our improvements, and put it in an area where it's within the range of the surveillance cameras, just in case if anything were to happen.
Okay, so security cameras are in place already.
From
Or
the
no?
conference call that we had with the corporate office, there will be 24-hour surveillance.
Okay, great. And then, let's see, 8 spaces, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's my
So-
questions. Who else has a question?
So is the security camera just for the charging stations?
So we have cameras all over the lot, but.
Oh, you already have, okay.
Yeah, but those will be specifically for those charging
All
stations.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have just a side question for the fire marshal. Do you guys have the specialized training for battery fires on these electric vehicles?
Yeah, that's the new up-and-coming training since it's becoming so prevalent. We've actually went through and received training. We've had to come up with SOPs, and we have a special nozzle for EV fires that we slide underneath the vehicle to help cool it. When the battery does start burning, it's such a situation that we're not going to be able to put it out. It's going to have to run its course, the chemical reaction.
Okay, and so when this thing is up, the fire department will be all trained and 100% ready to go?
Yes.
Should we have
Yes,
some
sir.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Nina, did you know all that?
Yeah. I just bought an electric vehicle.
Oh, good for you. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I don't have any cards on this one, but I am going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak, you may come forward now. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Is there any discussion? And if not, I would ask for a motion.
You got to find the case number.
Okay,
All right,
I'll
I
make
would
a
like-
motion. Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve case ZC 25-028.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Obanabo and a second by Commissioner Savoy for approval of case ZC 25-028. Take a vote. Commissioner Remley,
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy,
Aye.
Commissioner Obanabo,
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold,
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert,
Aye.
Commissioner Groves,
Aye.
and Commissioner Bevel votes aye, so the case is approved by a vote of 7-0. The next case on our agenda this evening is consideration of a replat for Lot 3R and Lot 4, Block 1, Meadows Creek Offices Addition, located at 8098 Precinct Line Road, case PC 25-019. The staff will present the case.
Commissioners, this is a replat for proposed Lot 3R and Lot 4 within the Meadows Creek Offices Addition at 809. Here's an aerial map. It does have PUDC zoning. It does comply with the future land use plan. Here's an aerial of the property. On the left side of the screen would be the proposed lot. And here's the plat exhibit. The purpose of the plat is to subdivide one lot into two lots. The newly created lot would receive its access from the existing fire lane and access easement. The existing PUDC zoning will still remain. The property, if developed, must conform to the exhibits contained within that PUD ordinance and/or CC2 zoning requirements. The PUD ordinance can be referenced as O12-1839. No new development is proposed with this replat request. However, the plat does meet all minimum city standards and/or codes. There has been no opposition received, and staff does recommend approval of this request.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? No? Okay. This is a pretty straightforward request. I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. I have no cards. If anyone would like to speak, you may come now. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Is there discussion from the commission? Questions? All right, then I would ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve case PC 25-019.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve case PC 25-019. So we'll take a vote. Commissioner Remley?
Aye.
Commissioner Obanabo?
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold?
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Groves?
Aye.
Commissioner Bevel votes aye, and the case is approved by a vote of 7-0. The next item is consideration of a preliminary final plat for Holt Farms Edition located at 116 and 7316 John McCain Road, case PC 25-020. The staff will present the case.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to be talking about the case today. This is over a preliminary final plat for the Holt Farms Edition. Let's see if my clicker is going to work. Is that you?
I'll take care of it.
All right. Here's an aerial of the property. As y'all know, this property was recently rezoned to the R40 zoning district from the agricultural district in May of this year. That's approved as per ordinance O-25-2328. This is just the subsequent final plat that will allow for the construction of 10 homes on this property. And so nothing has changed in terms of the exhibits, but as y'all are looking at it now, the plat does comply with all of our city regulations, including Chapter 3, which governs land use, Chapter 8, which is our platting regulations, and Chapter 9, which is our subdivision design. There is a 30-foot access easement on the property that is proposed to be abandoned as part of the plat, and so the only access this plat will have will be off of John McCain Road. All the lots comply with our regulations, and as it does comply with all of our zoning, and the zoning was approved, platting is strictly legal at this point, and it is required to be approved per Texas state law.
Thank you. I have, going to open the public hearing. Public hearing is open. Larry Shields.
Larry Shields, 7308 Monticello Parkway in Colleyville. I was just hoping to ask some questions of the construction people about the fencing plans. My home backs right up to the new neighborhood, and I'm curious what the fences are going to look like, how we're going to treat the utility easement, that kind of thing.
Okay,
But
well.
I guess I'm not going to get those answers tonight, am I?
Well, thank you, Mr. Shields, for coming down and for being patient with us through this whole meeting.
Been interesting.
The applicant, I don't believe, is here. Are you here, sir? Would you like to answer questions? Sure. Okay, come on down.
Hi, Paul.
Sure, happy to answer any questions.
I'm not sure, that you would be able to answer the questions at this point, since it is just a plat, but I
Yeah,
wanted to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, by the way, Paul Roster and Cali Custom Homes, and will be doing the building and developing there.
You need to-
Yeah, right now, we quite honestly don't have final plans yet in terms of how that fencing's gonna all come together. We've had discussions with multiple of the homeowners at kind of radius Monticello on the northeast quadrant. So we want to have a consistent look all the way around, and trying to get everybody on the same page is kind of the final objective.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you for coming
All right.
down. Okay, I don't have any other cards, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, and this is a straightforward compliant request, so does anyone have questions? If not, then I would ask for a motion.
I move to approve case PZ 25-020.
Was that, it's PC
PC, correction. I make a motion to approve case PC, Papa Charlie 25-020.
I second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gross and a second by Commissioner Savoy, so will Commissioner Arnold,
Aye.
Commissioner Remley,
Aye.
Commissioner Savoy,
Aye.
Commissioner Obanabo,
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert,
Aye.
Commissioner Groves,
Aye.
and Commissioner Bevel votes aye, and the case is approved by a vote of 7-0. I have no cards for citizen comments, but I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak, you may come forward now. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed, and the meeting is adjourned. Yeah, thank you for